6 fighter jets screamed through the Syrian sky, targeting one lone Apache helicopter. The enemy commander's voice crackled with contempt. 30 seconds and she's done. Then they heard it, a woman's laugh, cold and certain, cutting through their comms like a blade. You boys really think you're the hunters here, Captain Lena Tran said softly. 2 seconds later, the first MiG exploded into a fireball that painted the desert orange. Before we dive into this impossible true story, hit that subscribe button and follow this journey to the very end. Drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels across the world. Ghost Hawk, you've got 6 bogies inbound. RTB immediately. Lena Tran's finger hovered over the response button. Below her, Apache 6 Rangers were pinned down, taking fire from 3 sides. Ghost Hawk, acknowledge, negative. Say again, I said negative, Overlord. I've got Americans bleeding out down there. Her co-pilot, Marcus Webb's voice cut in tight. Lena, those are MiG-29s. We need to leave. Now. You want to leave? Marcus, tell those Rangers they're on their own. Marcus didn't answer. A young voice broke through on the ground, frequency shaking. Ghost Hawk, this is PFC Miller. I'm 19 years old. I got accepted to Berkeley. I start in January. Please. An older voice cut him off. Miller, shut your mouth. Ghost Hawk Sergeant Torres here. 6 souls. That's all you need to know. Lena's jaw clenched. She touched the photograph tucked into her dash, her father in his flight suit, that defiant smile. Overlord, I'm having radio trouble, she said. Ghost Hawk, do not. She switched frequencies. Marcus, remember what my dad always said. Which part the man had a lot of crazy theories. Helicopters aren't prey. We're ambush predators. The jets just don't know it yet. Your dad also got shot down twice. And survived both times. She pushed the Sikulik forward, dropping into the valley. Besides, he only got shot down by jets. He never lost to one. The radar warning screamed. 6 contacts, splitting up, circling like wolves. They're setting up attack runs, Marcus said. Good. Let them think they're in control. Lena, this is insane. Probably. Your hands are shaking. She looked down. He was right. Her fingers trembled against the controls. Yeah, she said quietly. They are. We can still leave. No, we can't. Below, Torres came back on. Ghost Hawk Miller's hit. Sucking chest wound. If we don't extract in the next 10 minutes, he's done. Lena's hands stopped shaking. Copy that, Torres. Nobody's dying today. The first MiG dove. Marcus shouted, break right. Not yet. Lena, count with me, Marcus. 5, 4. The MiG's cannon lit up. 30mm rounds chewed through the air where they'd been a second ago. 3, 2. Lena, pull up. 1. She yanked the collective, popping up from behind the ridge. The MiG screamed past committed, unable to pull out. Now. 2 Hellfires leaped off the rails. The MiG pilot saw them. His scream cut through the radio. No, no, no. Both missiles hit center mass. Marcus exhaled hard. Holy shit. Lena keyed the enemy frequency. They'd been chattering in Russian and broken English. Now silence. 1 down, she said. Who's next? 3 seconds of nothing. Then, you are dead, American. Dead. Am I? And then she laughed. Not triumphant, not nervous, just cold, certain. The laugh of someone who'd done the math 1,000 times in sleepless nights. The laugh of someone proving the entire world wrong. Come on then, she said. Let's see what you've got. 2 MiGs broke formation, diving together. High and low. Classic pincer. Lena, we can't fight both. We're not going to. She dropped lower, skimming the deck. They think in 3 dimensions. We think in 4. 4. Time. They're fast. We're not. But they can't slow down, and we can stop on a dime. The first MiG came from behind. The second dove from above, trying to flush them into the first one's kill zone. Lena watched her instruments. Timing had to be perfect. Chaff. Full spread. Marcus hit the button. Aluminum strips exploded into the air behind them. The MiG above launched 2 heat seekers. "Flares!" Marcus yelled. "Not yet! Those missiles! I see them!" She could feel them. Her father had taught her that. You don't watch death coming. You feel it. Now! She bled off airspeed so fast the Apache shuddered. Flares dumped white magnesium burning hot. The missiles couldn't adjust. They screamed past and locked onto the only other heat signature in the area. The MiG coming in low. "Brake, brake!" the pilot screamed. His wingman's missiles struck him dead center. "2," Lena said. The surviving MiG pulled up hard, his voice incoherent with rage. He fired wildly, not even bothering to lock on. Lena didn't move, just watched the missiles streak past. "Your friend died because you were impatient," she said over the radio. "Want to make the same mistake? Who are you?" Different voice now. Older, the commander. "What are you?" Lena's hand touched the photograph again. 10 years ago, her father's funeral. 20 years old in dress blues watching the missing man formation overhead. A colonel had pulled her aside afterward. "Your father was brilliant, Tran, but don't make his mistakes. Helicopters aren't fighters. Know your limits." She'd smiled, nodded politely, and thought, I'll never accept limits again. "I'm Victor Tran's daughter," she said into the radio. "He taught me that helicopters don't run from jets. We just wait for jets to make mistakes." Below Torres, Ghost Hawk Miller's fading. "We need extraction now." "Copy. Keep him talking. Tell him about Berkeley." 4 MiGs left, circling higher now. Wary. Lena checked her loadout. 14 Hellfires, 1,100 rounds of 30mm, 4 Stingers. "Marcus." "Yeah. If this goes wrong, it won't. If it does, tell my mom I wasn't being reckless. Tell her I was being exactly what Dad trained me to be. Tell her yourself. Promise me." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "I promise. Now stop talking like we're dying and kill these bastards." Lena smiled. "Yeah. Okay." The MiGs were repositioning. Different altitudes. Different vectors. They were going to hit her from everywhere at once. "They're setting up a coordinated strike," Marcus said. "I know. Let them." "Lena, they're thinking like fighter pilots. Formation, coordination, mutual support." She moved them closer to a narrow canyon. "But I'm not fighting jets. I'm fighting the men flying them. And men make mistakes when they're angry." "You really think you've made them angry?" "I killed 2 of their friends with a helicopter, Marcus." "Yeah, they're pissed." The first MiG dove, a feint, testing her. She didn't react, just hovered. "Cautious," the commander said over the radio. "She waits for mistakes." "Then we make no mistakes," another pilot replied. "Everyone makes mistakes," Lena said, "especially when they're about to die." The silence that followed was pure fury. "You think you are clever, American? You think 1 helicopter defeats 4 fighter aircraft? I think you're burning fuel up there while I can hover here all night. I think your commanders are asking why you haven't splashed 1 slow helicopter yet. I think you're running out of time and patience, and when you run out of both, you'll make a mistake." She paused. "Just like your friends did." 2 MiGs dove immediately, 1 from each side. Not a feint. "Here we go." She flew straight at the canyon wall. Lena, Marcus shouted. Pull up. Trust me. We're going to hit, not yet, 500 feet from the wall. 400. The MiGs adjusted, following her in. 300 feet. Lena. 200. She pulled up hard and right, the Apache pivoting like a dancer. The MiGs tried to follow. One made it. The other clipped the wall with his wing. Physics did the rest. 3, Lena said. The surviving MiG was pulling up, trying to gain altitude. She launched a Stinger straight up. The pilot never saw it coming. No fighter pilot expects a helicopter to shoot up. The missile tracked his exhaust and hit. 4. Below Torres, Ghost Hawk Miller's stable for now, but we need extract in 5 minutes or we're combat ineffective. You'll get it. The last 2 MiGs were climbing, pulling back. They're running, Marcus said. No, they're thinking. Lena watched them on the display. They just lost 4 aircraft to a helicopter. Someone's going to answer for that. So what do? They come back with everything. But not now. She keyed the radio. Overlord Ghost Hawk. Enemy air neutralized. 4 confirmed kills, requesting immediate CSR for ground team. Long pause. Ghost Hawk. Say again. Did you say 4 kills? Affirmative. 4 enemy aircraft destroyed. Remaining hostiles withdrawn. Another pause. Longer. Copy all. CSR en route. ETA 12 minutes. Provide close air support until extraction complete. Roger. Lena dropped the Apache down. The militants attacking the Rangers were scattering. She didn't let them. The 30mm cannon roared. She walked fire across 3 pickup trucks with mounted guns. They exploded one after another. Ghost Hawk, good hits. Enemy breaking contact. She circled the Rangers' position, scanning for threats. Her hands were shaking again now. Harder this time. Marcus? Yeah, that was insane, wasn't it? That was the most insane thing I've ever seen. Dad would have loved it. Your dad would have been terrified and proud at the same time. Lena's eyes burned. She blinked hard. Yeah, he would have. The CSR birds arrived on schedule. 2 Black Hawks with Little Bird escorts. The Rangers loaded up fast, even Miller pale but conscious. Torres's voice came through. Ghost Hawk, we're secure. Thank you. Miller says he owes you a beer at Berkeley. Tell him to study hard and stay out of Syria. Will do. Ground team is clear. You're released. Copy. Heading home? She turned the Apache toward base. Lena, Marcus said quietly. What you did back there, that's going to change everything. Maybe. Not maybe. Definitely. You just proved helicopters can fight jets. That's going to rewrite doctrine. All I proved is that scared men make mistakes. No, you proved something else. What? That limits are just things other people try to put on us. Lena smiled, touched the photograph. Yeah, Dad, that's exactly what I proved. The base came into view. Tower lights in the darkness. Ghost Hawk, you are cleared to land. Commander wants to see you immediately. Copy. She brought the Apache down smooth. Rotor wash kicked up dust. The skids touched concrete. The base commander was waiting on the tarmac. His face was grim. Lena killed the engines. Climbed out. Her legs felt like rubber. Captain Tron. With me. Now. She followed him into the operations center. An intel officer was waiting, pulling up a screen. Captain, we intercepted enemy communications during your engagement. Okay. They knew you were coming. They knew your call sign. Lena's stomach went cold. How? The intel officer played an audio file. A Russian voice, cold and professional. Ghost Hawk is Victor Tran's daughter, the Ghost's child. Kill her and we kill the legend." The room tilted. "How do they know who my father was?" Lena whispered. The intel officer shook his head. "That's what we need to find out. Someone's been watching you, Captain. For a very long time." Lena looked down at her hands. They were shaking again, but this time not from adrenaline, from something else entirely. "They wanted me specifically," she said slowly. "This wasn't random. Those jets, those militants, they were waiting for me." The commander nodded. "It appears so. Why, we don't know yet, but we're going to find out." He paused. "Captain, you just became the first helicopter pilot in history to score 4 air-to-air kills in a single engagement. That makes you valuable, and that makes you a target." Lena thought about her father, about the missing man formation at his funeral, about the colonel's words, "Know your limits." She thought about Miller, 19 years old, bleeding out in the desert. She thought about the laugh, cold and certain, that had come out of her mouth before she killed the first MiG. "Sir," she said, "I don't think they're trying to kill me." "Then what are they trying to do?" Lena looked at the photograph she was still holding. Her father's defiant smile. "I think they're trying to prove something. That legends can die. That Tran's daughter is just as mortal as Tran himself." "And are you?" the commander asked quietly. Lena smiled, the same smile as her father's. "I guess we're all going to find out." 3 hours later, Lena sat alone in the debriefing room, staring at a cup of coffee she hadn't touched. The door opened. A woman walked in, mid-50s civilian clothes, but she moved like military. Everything about her said intelligence officer. "Captain Tran, I'm Sarah Chen, CIA." Lena didn't stand. "You're here about the intercept." "I'm here about a lot of things." Chen sat down across from her. 4 air-to-air kills. In a helicopter. That's unprecedented." "Is this a congratulations or an interrogation?" "It's a conversation." Chen pulled out a tablet, slid it across the table. "Recognize this." Lena looked at the screen. A photograph. Her father standing next to another man in flight gear. Russian insignia. When was this taken? 1997. Bosnia. Your father was running joint ops with Russian peacekeepers. The man next to him is Colonel Dmitry Volkov. Okay. So, Volkov is now a general. He runs Russia's special aviation operations in Syria. Lena's chest tightened. "You think he sent those MiGs after me?" "I think he knew exactly who you were when you showed up on radar. I think this was personal. Why my father died 15 years ago." Chen leaned forward. "Your father didn't just die, Captain. He was killed. And the official story we told you that it was insurgent ground fire was a lie." The room went silent, except for the hum of fluorescent lights. "What did you just say?" Lena's voice was barely a whisper. "Your father was shot down by a Russian-made aircraft. We couldn't prove it was deliberate. The diplomatic situation was complicated, so we buried it." Lena stood up so fast her chair fell over. "You're telling me my father was murdered and nobody told me? I'm telling you it was more complicated than murder. Your father discovered something in Bosnia. Something Volkov didn't want discovered, and now Volkov knows I'm here, and he's testing me." Lena's hands were shaking again. "Those MiGs today, that wasn't about killing me. That was about seeing if I was like my father." Chen nodded slowly. "We believe so. And Captain, you just proved you are." "What did my father discover?" "We don't know. He never told us. He died before he could." Lena grabbed the tablet, stared at the photograph. Her father's face. Young. Smiling. Alive. "I want everything. Every file. Every intercept. Everything you have on Volkov." "Captain, that's not a request." Chen studied her for a long moment. Then, You're going back out there, aren't you? Those Rangers I saved today? Miller, the 19-year-old Torres and his team. They're alive because I didn't run. Because I stayed and fought. Lena set the tablet down. If Volkov wants to test if I'm my father's daughter, then I'll show him exactly what that means. The Pentagon is going to want you stateside. They're going to study what you did today. Turn it into doctrine. They can study it after I finish this. Finish what? Lena looked at her father's photograph one more time. Whatever he started. Chen stood up. You're making this personal. That's dangerous. It was already personal. The moment they said his name over that radio. Lena headed for the door. Now I'm just returning the favor. She walked out into the night. The flight line was quiet. Her Apache sat there, bullet holes stitched across the fuselage. Ground crew was already working on it. Marcus found her standing there. You okay? No. Want to talk about it? My father was murdered. CIA just told me. Marcus went silent. Then, Jesus, Lena. They think the man who killed him is here. In Syria, running operations. And you're thinking about going after him. I'm not thinking about it. I'm doing it. Lena, don't. She turned to face him. Don't tell me it's a bad idea. Don't tell me to let it go. Don't tell me to be smart. I was going to say I'm coming with you. She blinked. What? You're my pilot. Where you go, I go. That's how this works. Marcus, this isn't your fight. You saved 6 Rangers today. You think I'm letting you fly solo into whatever fresh hell you're planning? He smiled. Besides, someone needs to keep you from doing something completely insane. I already did something completely insane today. Yeah, and I was there for that too. He put a hand on her shoulder. So whatever comes next, I'm there. End of discussion. Lena felt something crack in her chest. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You haven't told me the plan. I don't have one. Well, that's terrifying. The next morning, Lena was summoned to a secure briefing room. Chen was there. So was the base commander. And 3 officers she didn't recognize. 2 Air Force One Army Tuam. Captain Tran, one of the Air Force officers said. I'm Colonel Morrison. We've been reviewing your engagement yesterday. What you did was extraordinary. Thank you, sir. It was also reckless, unauthorized, and violated about 15 different protocols. Lena said nothing. Morrison leaned forward. So naturally we're promoting you to major and assigning you to a new unit. Sir, effective immediately, you're being transferred to the Special Operations Aviation Regiment. You're going to teach other pilots how to do what you did yesterday. No, sir. The room went silent. I'm sorry, Captain. Did you just refuse a promotion? With respect, sir, I'm not leaving Syria. Not yet. That's not your decision. Then make it my decision. Lena stood. Yesterday I proved helicopters can fight jets. You want to turn that into doctrine, fine. But doctrine isn't going to work if it's written by someone who did it once in a controlled environment. It needs to be written by someone who's doing it in the field, who's refining it, who's learning from it. Morrison glanced at the other officers. You want to stay in the combat zone. I want to finish what I started. And what exactly did you start? Lena looked at Chen. The CIA officer gave the smallest nod. The enemy knows who I am. They know my call sign. They know my father. That makes me an asset, a target, a way to draw out their command structure. She paused. Use me. Put me back in the air. Let them come after me. And when they do, we'll be ready. The army officer spoke up. You want to be bait. I want to be the hunter. They just think I'm bait. Morrison sat back. That's the craziest thing I've heard all week. Is it working? He almost smiled. Chen, this was your idea, wasn't it? The captain is extremely persuasive, Chen said. Morrison looked at Lena. You understand what you're volunteering for. You'll be flying missions specifically designed to draw enemy contact. You'll be putting yourself in harm's way deliberately. Sir, with respect, I put myself in harm's way yesterday to save 6 Rangers. This is the same thing, just bigger. The Rangers didn't know you were coming. The enemy will be waiting for you this time. Good. I work better when they're expecting me. Morrison exchanged looks with the other officers. Finally, 1 month. You stay in country for 1 month. You train other pilots on your techniques. You fly high-risk missions. And if when the enemy comes for you again, we'll be tracking everything. Intel, tactics, command structure. We'll use this to dismantle their entire air operation in Syria. And if I encounter the people responsible for my father's death, then you remember you're an American officer first and a daughter second. Lena's jaw clenched. Understood, sir. Dismissed. She walked out. Chen followed her into the hallway. That was risky, Chen said. It worked. Barely. Morrison almost sent you stateside anyway. But he didn't, because he knows I'm right. They can't replicate what I did in a simulator. They need me here. Chen handed her a file folder. Everything we have on Volkov, classified. Don't lose it. Lena took it. Why are you helping me? Because your father was my friend, and because Volkov has been a thorn in our side for 20 years. If you can draw him out, expose his operations, maybe even force him into a mistake that's worth the risk. And if I die trying, then you'll die like your father, doing the right thing. Lena opened the folder. Inside were photographs, intercepts, operational reports. And one thing that made her blood run cold. A photograph of Volkov standing next to an aircraft, the same type that had shot down her father. He kept it, she whispered. Like a trophy. He's proud of what he did. That's his weakness. Chen started walking away, then stopped. Your father used to say something. The most dangerous pilot isn't the one with the most kills. It's the one with nothing left to lose. Don't become that pilot, Lena. What if I already am? Chen didn't answer, just kept walking. That night, Lena lay in her bunk reading through Volkov's file. His career, his missions, his methods. He was good, methodical, patient. The kind of officer who planned 3 moves ahead. Her father had been the opposite. Instinctive, aggressive. The kind of pilot who trusted his gut over his instruments. She was both, her father's instincts, her mother's patience. Maybe that was what scared Volkov. Marcus knocked on her door. You sleeping? No. He came in, sat on the edge of her bunk. Read the whole file, twice. Find anything useful? He's cautious, never takes unnecessary risks, always has backup plans. So how do you beat someone like that? Lena smiled. By being exactly what he doesn't expect. Reckless, unpredictable, by making him think I'm making mistakes when I'm really setting traps. Your dad's playbook. Yeah. Marcus was quiet for a moment. You know this might not end well, right? I know. And you're doing it anyway. Marcus, my father died thinking I didn't know the truth. Died thinking I believed some bullshit story about ground fire. I can't. Her voice cracked. I can't let that stand. I can't let the man who killed him just keep operating like nothing happened. So this is about justice. This is about finishing what my father started, whatever that was. And if you can't finish it, then at least I tried. At least I didn't run. She looked at him. Miller's alive because I didn't run yesterday. Those Rangers are going home because I stayed and fought. Maybe that's all we can do. Stay and fight when it matters. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay, then let's make sure you're ready. Because if Volkov is half as good as this file says, next time won't be 6 MiGs. It'll be 12, with SAMs, and ground support, and every trick he's learned in 30 years of combat. Good. Good. The bigger the fight, the harder he'll commit. The harder he commits, the more he exposes. Lena closed the file. My father taught me that helicopters are ambush predators. You don't chase the prey. You wait for the prey to come to you. And when it does, you strike. Exactly. 3 days later, Lena was in the air again. Same valley, same mission support for a special forces team operating near the border. But this time she wasn't alone. 2 other Apaches flew with her, pilots she'd been training for the past 72 hours, teaching them everything her father had taught her. Ghost Hawk, this is Raven 2. Got radar contact. Single aircraft. High altitude. Lena checked her display. Copy, maintain position. Let's see what he does. The aircraft circled, watching, not engaging. He's scouting us, Marcus said. Yeah, reporting back, telling them I'm here. You wanted to draw them out. Looks like it's working. The aircraft disappeared from radar. 10 minutes later, Chen's voice crackled in, Ghost Hawk, be advised. We're tracking increased enemy communications. Multiple aircraft being scrambled from 2 different bases. How many? At least 8. Maybe more. Lena smiled. Copy that. We'll be ready. Raven 2's pilot came on. Ghost Hawk 8-3 odds. Should we request backup? Negative Raven 2. We've got this. How do you figure? Because they're expecting 3 helicopters to run. We're going to do the opposite. Marcus laughed. Of course we are. The radar lit up. Not 8 contacts, 12. Jesus, Raven 2 breathed. Steady, Lena said. Remember what I taught you. They're fast. We're smart. Fast loses to smart every time. Ghost Hawk, this is Overlord. You are cleared to withdraw. Say again, you are cleared to RTB. Negative, Overlord. We've got a ground team depending on us. Captain, those are impossible odds. So we're 6-1. How'd that work out? Silence. Then, good hunting, Ghost Hawk. The 12 jets split into 3 groups, 4 per group, each group targeting 1 Apache. They're trying to overwhelm us, Raven 2 said. No, Lena replied. They're trying to prove a point, that yesterday was luck, that I can't do it again. Can you? We're about to find out. All Raven elements listen up. We don't fight them in the air. We make them fight us in the terrain. Use the valleys. Use the ridges. Make them commit low where they're vulnerable. Copy. The first group dove toward Raven 2. Lena watched. Waited. Raven 2, execute maneuver Delta on my mark. Standing by. The jets committed to their attack run. Mark! Raven 2 dropped into a ravine. The jets followed and flew straight into a crossfire from Lena and Raven 3. 4 Hellfires launched simultaneously. 2 jets exploded. The other 2 pulled up hard right into Stinger range. 2 more explosions. 4 down, Lena said. Raven 2, you good. Shaken but good. Holy shit, that worked. It worked because you trusted the plan. Now let's do it again. The second group was more cautious. They'd seen what happened to the first. They're learning, Marcus said. Good. Smart opponents are more fun. The jets circled higher, staying out of missile range. Ghost Hawk, they're waiting us out, trying to burn our fuel. Then let's not wait. Lena switched to the enemy frequency. She'd been listening to their chatter. They were arguing, disagreeing on tactics. She spoke in perfect Russian, something her father had taught her. Colonel Volkov, are you listening? The chatter stopped. I know you're monitoring this frequency. I know you're watching. So let me tell you something. She paused. My father was twice the pilot you'll ever be. And I'm better than he was. So either send your planes or send yourself, because I'm not leaving. A long silence. Then a new voice came on. Deep, calm, Russian accent thick, but controlled. So, Victor's daughter learned to bite as well as bark. Lena's heart hammered. Volkov. You fly well, Captain Tran. Your father would be proud. Don't you dare say his name. Why not? He was my friend once, before he betrayed us. He didn't betray anyone. He discovered what you really were. Volkov laughed. And what am I, little bird? A murderer, a coward, and today you're going to be a statistic. Another laugh. Such fire, such rage. Yes, you are Victor's child. The remaining 8 jets broke formation, all of them diving toward Lena's position. Here they come, Marcus said. All Raven elements execute scatter pattern Omega. Make them chase us separately. And the 3 Apaches split up, heading in different directions. The jets split too, but 6 of them followed Lena. They want you specifically, Marcus said. I know, that's the point. She keyed the radio. Volkov, you sent 6 after me before. Now you send 6 again. What's the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity, Captain, is thinking you can win this war. I don't need to win the war. I just need to win this fight. She dropped into the narrowest canyon she could find. The jets followed, but at this speed in this terrain they had maybe seconds to react to obstacles. She had all the time in the world. Marcus, I'm going to do something stupid. Of course you are. When I say eject, I mean eject. Don't argue. Lena, what? Trust me. She flew deeper into the canyon. The walls closed in. At this speed, the jets couldn't follow. 3 of them pulled up. 3 kept coming. Stupid, aggressive, angry, perfect. Lena hit the brakes. Full stop. The Apache hovering in midair. The 3 jets screamed past her, unable to slow down, unable to stop. She calmly fired 3 hellfires. 1 per jet. All 3 hits. 8, she said. The remaining 3 jets were pulling back, climbing, trying to regroup. Volkov, Lena said, you're down to 3. Want to send more? Or are you starting to understand what my father understood? And what is that? That you're not invincible. You're just lucky. And luck runs out. The intel officer's words hung in the air like smoke. Someone had been watching her for a very long time. Lena walked out of the operations center with her father's photograph still clutched in her hand. The night was cold. Her breath came out in white clouds. Behind her, Marcus was saying something, but the words sounded distant, like they were coming through water. Lena. She kept walking. Lena, stop. She stopped. Turned. Marcus was standing there with that look on his face, the one that said he was about to tell her something she didn't want to hear. Don't, she said. Don't what? Don't tell me to let it go. Don't tell me to be smart. Don't give me the speech about staying professional. Marcus stepped closer. I was going to say I'm coming with you. She blinked. What? Whatever you're planning, whatever crazy thing is going through your head right now, I'm in. This isn't your fight, Marcus. You're my pilot. Where you go, I go. He crossed his arms. Besides, someone needs to make sure you don't do something completely insane. I already did something completely insane today. Yeah, and I was there for that too. So I'm there for whatever comes next. Something in her chest cracked open. Not breaking, just opening. Letting something in she'd been keeping out for too long. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me yet. You haven't told me the plan. I don't have one. Jesus, Lena. She looked down at the photograph, her father's face. That smile that said he knew something everyone else didn't. He discovered something, Marcus, something bad enough that they killed him for it. And now, she stopped, started again. Now they know I'm here. They used his name over the radio. They wanted me to know they remember him. So this was a message. This was a test. To see if I'm like him. If I'll keep digging the way he did. And will you? She met his eyes. What do you think? Marcus sighed. I think we're both going to end up dead. But yeah, I think you will. 3 hours later, she was standing in front of the base commander's office. Chen was inside. So were 2 Air Force colonels she'd never seen before. The commander waved her in. Tran, sit. She sat. One of the colonels spoke first. I'm Colonel Morrison. I've been reviewing your engagement from yesterday. What you did was extraordinary. Thank you, sir. It was also reckless, unauthorized, and violated about 15 different protocols. She said nothing. Morrison leaned back. So naturally, we're promoting you to major and transferring you stateside. You're going to teach other pilots how to do what you did. No, sir. The room went dead silent. Excuse me. With respect, sir, I'm not leaving Syria. Morrison's jaw tightened. That's not your decision, Captain. Then make it my decision. She stood up. Yesterday I proved helicopters can fight jets. You want to turn that into doctrine, fine. But you can't build doctrine from one engagement. You need someone refining it, learning from it. Someone who's doing it in the field, not in a classroom. You want to stay in the combat zone. I want to finish what I started. Which is... She looked at Chen. The CIA officer gave the smallest nod. The enemy knows who I am. They know my call sign. They know my father's name. That makes me an asset. She paused. Use me. Put me back in the air. Let them come after me. And when they do, we'll be ready. The second colonel spoke up. You want to be bait. I want to be the hunter. They just think I'm bait. Morrison almost smiled. Chen, was this your idea? The captain is extremely persuasive, sir. Morrison studied Lena for a long moment. You understand what you're volunteering for, missions specifically designed to draw enemy contact, deliberately putting yourself in the crosshairs. I did that yesterday to save 6 Rangers, sir. This is the same thing, just bigger. The Rangers didn't know you were coming. This time the enemy will be waiting. Good. I work better when they're expecting me. Morrison exchanged looks with the other officers. 1 month? You stay in country for 1 month? You train other pilots on your techniques? You fly high-risk missions, and when the enemy comes for you, and they will, we track everything. Intel, tactics, command structure. We use this to dismantle their entire air operation. And if I encounter the people responsible for my father's death, then you remember you're an American officer first. Her jaw clenched. Understood, sir. Dismissed. She walked out. Chen caught her in the hallway. That was risky, Chen said. It worked. Barely. Chen handed her a classified folder. Everything we have on Volkov. Don't lose it. Lena took it. Why are you helping me? Because your father was my friend. And because if you can draw Volkov out, expose his operations, make him commit a mistake that's worth the risk. And if I die, then you die like your father did. Doing the right thing. Lena opened the folder right there in the hallway. Photographs, intercepts, operational reports, and then one image that made her blood freeze. Volkov standing next to an attack helicopter. The same model that had killed her father. He kept it, she whispered, like a goddamn trophy. Pride is his weakness, Chen said. Your father figured that out. That's probably why Volkov killed him. What did my father discover? We don't know. He died before he could tell us. Lena stared at the photograph. Volkov's face. Cold. Professional. The face of a man who'd killed before and would kill again without hesitation. "I'm going to find out," she said. Chen started walking away, then stopped. "Your father used to say something. The most dangerous pilot isn't the one with the most kills. It's the one with nothing left to lose." She looked back. "Don't become that pilot, Lena." "What if I already am?" Chen didn't answer. That night, Lena couldn't sleep. She lay in her bunk reading Volkov's file cover to cover. His career, his missions, his tactics. He was methodical. Patient. The kind of officer who planned 3 moves ahead and never took unnecessary risks. Her father had been the opposite. Instinctive. Aggressive. The kind of pilot who trusted his gut over his instruments. She was both. And maybe that's what scared Volkov. Marcus knocked. "You awake?" "Yeah." He came in, sat on the edge of her bunk. "Read the whole thing. Twice. Find anything useful. He's careful. Always has backup plans. Never commits unless he's sure. So how do you beat someone like that? By being exactly what he doesn't expect, reckless, unpredictable. By making him think I'm making mistakes when I'm really setting traps. Your dad's playbook." "Yeah." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "This might not end well." "I know. And you're doing it anyway." "Marcus, my father died thinking I believed the lie they told me. Some bullshit story about ground fire." Her voice cracked. "I can't let that stand. I can't let his killer just keep operating like nothing happened. So this is about justice. This is about finishing what he started, whatever that was. And if you can't finish it, then at least I tried. At least I didn't run." She looked at him. "Miller's alive because I didn't run yesterday. Those Rangers are going home because I stayed. Maybe that's all we can do. Stay and fight when it matters." Marcus nodded slowly. "Then let's make sure you're ready. Because if Volkov is half as good as that file says, next time won't be 6 MiGs. It'll be 12, with SAMs, with everything he's got." "Good. Good. The bigger the fight, the harder he commits. The harder he commits, the more he exposes." She closed the file. "My father taught me that helicopters are ambush predators. You don't chase prey. You wait for prey to come to you. And then you strike." Exactly. 3 days later, she was airborne again. Same valley, same type of mission support for a special forces team near the border. But this time, 2 other Apaches flew with her. Pilots she'd spent 72 straight hours training, teaching them everything her father had taught her. "Ghost Hawk, this is Raven 2. I've got radar contact. Single aircraft, high altitude." Lena checked her display. "Copy, hold position. Let's see what he does." The aircraft circled once, twice, then disappeared. "He's scouting," Marcus said. "Yeah, reporting back that I'm here." "You wanted to draw them out. And it's working." 10 minutes later, Chen's voice crackled over the command frequency. "Ghost Hawk, be advised, enemy communications are lighting up. Multiple aircraft scrambling from 2 different bases." "How many?" "At least 8, maybe more." Lena smiled. "Good. We'll be ready." Raven 2's pilot came on voice tight. "Ghost Hawk 8 to 3 odds. Should we call for backup?" "Negative. We've got this." "How?" "Because they're expecting us to run. We're going to do the opposite." Marcus laughed. "Of course we are." The radar lit up. Not 8 contacts. 12. "Jesus Christ," Raven 2 breathed. "Steady," Lena said. "Remember what I taught you. They're fast. We're smart. Fast loses to smart every single time." "Ghost Hawk, this is Overlord. You are cleared to withdraw. Say again RTB immediately. Negative, Overlord. We've got people on the ground depending on us. Captain, those are impossible odds. So we're 6-1 yesterday, sir. How'd that turn out? A pause. Then, good hunting, Ghost Hawk. The 12 jets split into 3 groups of 4, each group targeting 1 Apache. They're trying to overwhelm us with numbers, Raven 2 said. No, Lena replied. They're trying to prove yesterday was luck, that I can't do it again. She switched to the tactical frequency. All Raven elements, listen up. We don't fight them in the air. We make them fight us in the terrain. Use the valleys. Use the ridges. Make them commit low where they're weak. Copy that. The first group dove toward Raven 2's position. Lena watched. Waited. Let them commit. Raven 2, execute Delta maneuver on my mark. Standing by. The jets screamed in guns hot, thinking they had an easy kill. Mark! Raven 2 dropped into a ravine. The jets followed and flew straight into crossfire from Lena and Raven 3 positioned on either side. 4 Hellfires launched. 2 jets exploded instantly. The other 2 pulled up hard right into Stinger range. 2 more fireballs. 4 down, Lena said calmly. Raven 2 status, shaken but alive. Holy shit, that actually worked. It worked because you trusted the plan. Now we do it again. The second group of 4 jets was circling higher now, more cautious. They'd watched their friends die. They're learning, Marcus said. Good. Smart enemies are more interesting. The jets stayed high out of missile range, trying to burn the Apache's fuel. They're waiting us out, Raven 3 said. Then let's not wait. Lena switched to the enemy frequency. She'd been monitoring their chatter. They were arguing, disagreeing. She spoke in Russian, her father had made her learn it. Colonel Volkov, I know you're listening. The chatter stopped dead. I know you're monitoring this frequency. I know you're watching. So let me tell you something. She paused. Let the silence build. My father was twice the pilot you'll ever be, and I'm better than he was. So either send your planes or send yourself, because I'm not leaving. Nothing for 10 seconds, 15, 20. Then a new voice, deep, calm, Russian accent, thick but controlled. So, Victor's daughter learned to bite. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Volkov. You fly well, Captain Tran. Your father would be proud. Don't say his name. Why not? He was my friend, before he betrayed us. He didn't betray anyone. He discovered what you are. Volkov laughed, low and cold. And what am I, little bird? A murderer, a coward, and in about 5 minutes a statistic. Such fire, such rage. Yes, you are Victor's child. A pause. Very well. Let's see if you die like him too. The remaining 8 jets broke formation, all of them diving. 6 came straight for Lena. They want you specifically, Marcus said. That's the point. She keyed the radio. Volkov, you sent 6 after me yesterday. Now 6 again. What's the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity, Captain, is thinking one helicopter can change this war. I don't need to change the war. I just need to win this fight. She dropped into the narrowest canyon she could find. The jets followed, but at their speed in this terrain they had seconds to react. She had all day. 3 jets pulled up, recognizing the trap. 3 kept coming. Too aggressive, too angry, too stupid. Marcus, hold on. What are you doing? Something your mother would hate. She brought the Apache to a complete stop, just hovering there in mid-canyon. The 3 jets screamed past, unable to slow down, unable to stop. She calmly fired 3 Hellfires. 1, 2, 3. All 3 jets exploded. 8 down, she said. The remaining 4 jets were pulling back, climbing, trying to regroup with the 2 attacking the other Apaches. But Raven 2 and Raven 3 had been listening. Learning. They'd executed the same trap simultaneously. Ghost Hawk Raven 2. 2 more splashed. Raven 3. Got one? The other bugged out. That left 3 jets and 3 very angry pilots. Volkov, Lena said. You're down to 3 aircraft. Want to send more? Or are you starting to understand what my father understood? Which is that you're not invincible. You're just lucky. And luck runs out. Volkov's voice changed. Harder now. You think killing a few pilots makes you dangerous? You think this is about aircraft? What's it about then? It's about proving that legends die, Captain Tran. That the ghost's daughter bleeds just like he did. Then come prove it yourself. Stop hiding behind your pilots. A long pause. Then, perhaps I will. The 3 remaining jets turned and fled. They're running, Marcus said. No, they're regrouping. This isn't over. Lena checked her fuel. Still good. Checked her ammunition. Running low, but manageable. Ghost Hawk Overlord. Confirmed 10 enemy aircraft destroyed. Affirmative. 10 confirmed kills across all 3 aircraft. Raven 2 and Raven 3 performed perfectly. Outstanding work. Ground team is secure and moving to extract. You're cleared to RTB. Copy. All Raven elements form up on me. We're going home. The 3 Apaches regrouped and headed back to base. But Lena couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Volkov's last words kept playing in her head. Perhaps I will. They were 5 minutes from base when the radar warning screamed. Single contact, low altitude, fast. What the hell is that? Marcus said. Lena's blood went cold. That's not a MiG. That's an attack helicopter. Ghost Hawk Overlord, we're tracking that contact. It's squawking Russian military codes. Can you identify the aircraft type? A pause. Then confirmed. Mi-28 Havoc, advanced Russian attack helicopter. The same type that killed her father. He's here, Lena whispered. Volkov's actually here. Lena, we need to get back to base. We're low on fuel and ammunition. No, this ends now. She broke formation, turning toward the contact. Raven 2, Raven 3, continue to base. This one's mine. Ghost Hawk, you can't. That's an order. Go home, both of you. Reluctantly, the other 2 Apaches peeled off. Lena flew toward the contact, toward Volkov. This is insane, Marcus said. Probably. We're almost out of missiles. I know. And he's in a Havoc. That thing is built to kill helicopters. I know that too. So what's the plan? Same as always, make him think he's winning. The Mi-28 appeared on the horizon. Sleek, deadly, painted in Russian colors. Volkov's voice came over the radio. Ah, there you are. Victor's daughter. Coming to meet me alone. How noble. How stupid. You wanted to prove legends die, Lena said. Here's your chance. You know I trained your father years ago, before the politics, before the betrayals. I taught him everything he knew about rotary combat. Then you know exactly how I'm going to kill you. Volkov laughed. Such confidence. Your father had that same confidence, right up until his aircraft was burning. Rage flooded through her, hot and sharp. Lena, don't let him get in your head, Marcus warned. But it was too late. She was already diving toward him. The Mi-28 met her head-on, both helicopters racing toward each other. Lena, pull up. Not yet. He's locking missiles. I know. 500 meters between them. 400. 300. Lena, 200 meters. She fired her last 2 Hellfires. Volkov fired his. Both sets of missiles screamed through the air. At 100 meters, Lena yanked the collective and pulled the hardest turn of her life. Her missiles missed Volkov by inches. His missiles missed her by less. They both spun around for another pass. "No more Hellfires," Marcus said. "Just guns." "Then guns it is." They closed again. This time both opened up with cannons. 30mm rounds filled the air between them. Metal screamed, sparks flew. Something in the Apache's tail section exploded. "We're hit!" Marcus shouted. "How bad? Tail rotor damage. We're losing stability." The Apache shuddered, started spinning. Lena fought the controls. Every instinct her father had drilled into her coming to the surface. Don't fight the spin. Use it. Turn disaster into advantage. She let the Apache spin, used the rotation to bring her guns around, and fired everything she had left. The rounds walked across the Mi-28's fuselage, hit something critical. Volkov's helicopter lurched, started trailing smoke. "You hit him," Marcus yelled. But they were spinning out of control. The ground rushing up. "Brace for impact!" Lena screamed. The Apache hit hard. Skids collapsing. Metal shrieking. The world tumbling sideways. Then silence. Lena's head was ringing. Blood in her mouth. Everything hurt. "Marcus! Marcus, you alive?" Yeah, I think so." He coughed. "We need to get out. If the fuel tanks rupture," they scrambled out of the wreckage, stumbled away. 50 feet, 100. The Apache didn't explode, just sat there, broken and smoking. 100 yards away, Volkov's Mi-28 was on the ground, too, also smoking, also destroyed. The canopy opened. A figure climbed out. Volkov. He stood there, tall and calm, looking at his destroyed helicopter. Then he turned toward Lena and started walking. Lena's hand went to her sidearm. The Beretta felt heavy. Real. Marcus was beside her, blood running down his face from a cut above his eye. "Stay behind me," she said. "Like hell." Volkov walked slowly, not hurrying. A man who had all the time in the world. He was older than she'd expected, maybe 60 gray at the temples, but he moved like someone 20 years younger. Like someone who'd spent his entire life in combat and survived every time. He stopped about 30 feet away. "So," he said in accented English, "this is how it ends. 2 pilots, 2 wrecked helicopters. Very dramatic." Lena raised her weapon. "Don't move, or what you'll shoot me." He smiled. "You Americans, always so quick to threaten. Your father was different. He understood the game." "What game?" "The game we all play, the dance. He knew it wasn't personal, just business." "You murdered him." "I killed him. There's a difference." Volkov's hand moved slightly. Marcus tensed, but the Russian just pulled out a cigarette, lit it. "May I? Don't move your hands again." He took a long drag. "Your father and I flew together in Bosnia. Did you know that 1997? Joint peacekeeping operations. He was remarkable, absolutely fearless. We became friends in a way. Friends don't kill friends. Friends do what they must when their countries demand it." He exhaled smoke. "Your father discovered something he shouldn't have. Documents, proof of weapons transfers, Russian equipment going to groups that officially didn't exist. He was going to expose it. Ruin years of careful work. So you killed him to protect a smuggling operation. I killed him to protect my country's interests, just as you would do for yours." Volkov studied her. "You're angry. Good. Anger makes you sharp. But it also makes you predictable. You're stalling. Am I? He smiled again. Or are you? The sound of rotor blades in the distance, getting closer. Marcus grabbed her arm. Lena, we need to move. Now! But she couldn't move. Couldn't look away from Volkov. This man had killed her father, had laughed about it, had kept the helicopter like a trophy. You're wondering if you should shoot me, Volkov said. You're thinking about justice, about revenge, about what your father would want. You don't know anything about what he'd want. I know he wouldn't want his daughter to throw away her career, her honor, her life. He took another drag. Shooting an unarmed enemy combatant during peacetime operations, that's murder, Captain Tran, even if that enemy once killed your father. This isn't peacetime. Isn't it? We're not at war, not officially. Just two countries playing games in someone else's sandbox. The rotor sound was getting louder. Multiple aircraft. Those are my people coming. You have perhaps 2 minutes before they arrive. So you have a choice. Shoot me now and become what you hate. Or walk away and live with the knowledge that I'm still breathing. Lena's finger tightened on the trigger. Her whole body was shaking. Every fiber of her being screamed to pull it, to end this, to make him pay. Lena, Marcus said quietly. Don't. He's not worth it. He killed my father. I know, but your father wouldn't want this. He wouldn't want you to destroy yourself for revenge. Volkov was watching her with something like curiosity. What will it be, Captain Justice, or revenge? They're not the same thing, you know. Shut up. Your father understood that. He could have killed me 12 times. Bosnia, Syria. But he never did, because he knew the difference between duty and murder. I said, shut up. He was a better person than both of us, I think. More principled, more pure. Volkov flicked his cigarette away. That's why he died, and we're still alive. The pure don't survive wars, Captain. Only the compromised. The helicopters were visible now. 3 Mi-28s. Coming fast. Lena, we're out of time, Marcus said. She kept the gun pointed at Volkov's chest. Her hand steady now. No more shaking. Just cold clarity. You want to know what my father would want, she said. He'd want me to be smarter than him. To survive where he didn't. To win the war, not just the battle. So you won't shoot. I didn't say that. She smiled. I said I'm smarter than him. Smart enough to know that killing you right now makes you a martyr. Lets you escape justice. Lets you die thinking you won. She lowered the weapon slightly. But if I let you live, you have to spend the rest of your life knowing that Victor Tran's daughter beat you. Twice. That everything you tried to prove today, that legends die, that I'm not my father, all of it failed. Volkov's expression changed. The amusement faded. 10 of your aircraft destroyed, Lena continued. Your best pilots dead. Your operations exposed. And you, their commander, shot down by the daughter of the man you murdered. She holstered her weapon. That's a legacy you can't escape. Every time someone mentions your name, they'll remember that you lost to a woman in an Apache, to Victor Tran's daughter. That's worse than death, Volkov. That's humiliation that lasts forever. His jaw clenched. For the first time, he looked angry. We're leaving, Lena said. And you're going to stand there and watch us go. Because if you try to stop us, if your pilots try anything, every intelligence agency in the world will know exactly what you've been doing here. Every weapons transfer, every illegal operation, everything my father discovered and died for. It's all documented, all ready to be released if anything happens to me. You're bluffing. Am I? She started backing away, Marcus moving with her. Test me. See what happens. Volkov didn't move. Just stood there smoking, watching them retreat. The 3 Russian helicopters were circling now, uncertain, waiting for orders. Colonel, a voice crackled over Volkov's radio. Orders, sir. Volkov stared at Lena for a long moment. Then he raised his radio. "Stand down. Let them go." "Sir, I said stand down." Lena and Marcus kept moving backward. 100 feet. 200. Behind them, the sound of American helicopters approaching from the opposite direction. Volkov called out, "This isn't over, Captain Tron." She stopped, looked back at him. "You're right," she said. "It's not. But now you know something important." "What's that?" "That when you come for me again, and you will, I'll be ready. And I'll beat you again. Every single time. Because I'm not just Victor Tran's daughter. I'm everything he was and everything he could have been. I'm the pilot he trained me to be. And that's something you can never beat." She turned and ran. 2 Blackhawks were landing behind them. Marines jumping out, securing the area, weapons up. "Captain Tran!" someone shouted. "Get aboard now!" They scrambled into the first Black Hawk. The door gunner pulled them inside. The helicopter lifted immediately, banking hard, putting distance between them and the Russian aircraft. Lena collapsed against the bulkhead. Her whole body was shaking again. Marcus was beside her, both of them covered in blood and dust and fuel. "You okay?" he asked. "No. Yeah. I don't know." She looked at her hands. They were trembling. "I almost killed him, Marcus. I had the shot. I wanted to take it so badly. But you didn't. Because it wouldn't have brought Dad back. It wouldn't have changed anything except making me into someone I don't want to be. Your father would be proud. Would he?" She looked out the door at the desert sliding past below. "I let his murderer walk away." "You beat his murderer. Twice. You destroyed his operation, exposed his crimes, and left him standing there humiliated in front of his own people." Marcus grabbed her shoulder. "That's not mercy, Lena. That's victory." She wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe she'd done the right thing. But part of her, the part that was pure rage and grief, knew she'd never stop seeing Volkov's face. Never stop hearing his voice. Never stop wondering if she should have pulled the trigger. The Black Hawk flew on toward base. Behind them, the Russian helicopters were disappearing into the distance. Back at base, chaos. Command staff everywhere. Intel officers, medical personnel. Everyone wanting to know what happened, how they survived what Volkov had said. Chen pulled Lena aside into a private room. "Tell me everything." Lena did. Every word. Every detail. When she finished, Chen was quiet for a long moment. "You made the right call," Chen finally said. "Did I?" "Yes. Because Volkov was right about one thing: shooting him would have made you a murderer. But more importantly, it would have started something we can't control. An incident that could escalate into something bigger. Maybe even a war. So I let him go to avoid World War III. That's comforting. You let him go because you're smarter than your rage. That's the difference between you and your father, Lena. He was brilliant, fearless, but he let his principles get him killed. You have his courage, but you also have something he lacked. What's that? Wisdom. The ability to see past the immediate fight to the bigger picture." Chen pulled out a tablet. "We've already started leaking information about Volkov's weapons transfers. Diplomatic channels are on fire. He's being recalled to Moscow. His career is over." "Good. But he's not going to prison. Too politically sensitive. He'll be retired quietly, given some meaningless desk job. He'll live out his years in obscurity. That's not justice. No, but it's the best we're going to get in the real world." Chen stood. "You should get medical attention. Both of you look like hell." "I'm fine." "That's an order, Major." Lena blinked. "What? Your promotion went through while you were in the air. Congratulations. You're officially Major Tran now, and you're being reassigned." "Where?" "Fort Rucker. You're going to run the 1st Apache Aggressor Squadron. Teach other pilots air-to-air tactics for rotary aircraft. Turn what you did here into doctrine that will save lives." Lena shook her head. "I can't leave. Not yet. Volkov is finished. His operation here is dismantled. His pilots are dead or reassigned. He's being pulled out of theater. You won. Now you need to let it go and do what you do best, teach others how to survive what you survived. And if he comes back, then we'll be ready, because you'll have trained an entire squadron of pilots who know how to fight the way you fight." Chen headed for the door, then stopped. "Your father would be proud, Lena. Not because you killed his murderer, but because you were strong enough not to. That takes a different kind of courage." After Chen left, Lena sat alone in the medical bay while a corpsman stitched up cuts she didn't remember getting. Her mind kept replaying the moment. The gun in her hand. Volkov 30 feet away. The choice. Marcus came in his own cuts, bandaged. "They're throwing us a party tonight," he said. "Apparently shooting down 13 enemy aircraft in 3 days makes you popular." 14. I got one when we crashed." "Right, 14. Even more impressive." He sat down next to her. "You going to be okay?" "Eventually." "That's not a yes. It's the best I've got right now." "Fair enough." He was quiet for a moment. "For what it's worth, I think you made the right call. Your father spent his whole life fighting for what's right. He died because he wouldn't compromise his principles. If you'd killed Volkov today, you would have compromised everything your father stood for, everything he taught you. Principles don't bring him back. No, but they keep him alive. In you, in what you do, in who you choose to be." Marcus stood. "Come on, let's go to this party. Let everyone buy us drinks we won't remember tomorrow. Act like we're not completely traumatized by the last 72 hours. That sounds healthy. It's the military way." The party was in the officers' club. Everyone who'd been involved in the operations was there. Raven 2 and Raven 3 pilots were already half drunk, telling anyone who'd listen about how Major Tran had taught them to kill jets with helicopters. Torres was there too. The ranger sergeant. He found Lena at the bar. "Major Tran, hell of a thing you did out there." "Just doing my job, Sergeant." "The hell you were. You saved my team, twice." He gestured to a young man beside him. "Miller wanted to say thank you personally." PFC Miller looked even younger than 19. Baby-faced, nervous. "Ma'am, I wanted to—" He stopped, started again. "Thank you, for staying, for fighting. I thought I was going to die out there." "You didn't. That's what matters. My mom wants to meet you, when I get home. She wants to thank the person who kept her son alive." Something in Lena's chest cracked. "Tell her she raised a brave kid. He held it together when it counted." Miller's eyes got wet. He nodded quickly and walked away before he started crying. Torres watched him go. "He's going to be okay. Eventually. Because of you. Because I did what anyone would have done." "No, ma'am. Most people would have followed orders and left. You stayed. That's the difference between surviving and coming home." He offered his hand. "If you ever need anything, you call me. Any of us. We owe you our lives." After Torres left, Lena found a quiet corner. The party swirled around her, but felt distant. Unreal. Like watching something happen to someone else. Her phone buzzed. A message from a number she didn't recognize. She opened it. One word, "Congratulations," and a photograph. Her father, younger than she'd ever seen him, standing next to a helicopter, smiling that defiant smile. She knew who'd sent it. Volkov. One last twist of the knife. But as she stared at the photograph, something shifted inside her. Because she realized something important. Volkov had sent it thinking it would hurt, thinking it would remind her of what she'd lost, of what he'd taken. But all it did was remind her of what her father had given her. His courage, his skills, his absolute certainty that limits were just things other people tried to impose. She'd beaten Volkov twice, destroyed his operation, exposed his crimes, left him humiliated in front of his own people, and she'd done it without compromising who she was, without becoming the kind of person who shoots unarmed enemies in cold blood. That was her father's real legacy. Not revenge, not blind justice, but the strength to win without losing yourself in the process. She deleted the message. Put the phone away. Marcus appeared with 2 drinks. You look contemplative. Just thinking. About what comes next. Fort Rucker. Teaching others. Building something that lasts longer than one mission. Sounds boring. Probably will be. She took the drink. But boring means fewer people die. Means pilots come home because they know how to fight smart instead of just fighting hard. Your dad would approve. Yeah, he would. She raised her glass. To Victor Tran, who taught his daughter to fly through the impossible. Marcus clinked his glass against hers. And to his daughter, who proved the impossible was just another word for challenging. They drank. The party continued around them, laughter and music and people celebrating being alive. Tomorrow, Lena would start packing, would begin the long journey to her next assignment, would start the work of turning her experiences into lessons that would save lives. But tonight, she let herself feel it. The victory, the loss, the grief, the pride. All of it mixed together into something she couldn't name, but understood completely. She thought about Volkov, about the choice she had made, about the gun in her hand and the 30 feet between them. She'd let him live, not out of mercy or weakness, but because killing him would have been the easy choice, the simple choice. And her father hadn't raised her to take easy choices. He'd raised her to take the right ones, even when they were hard. Especially when they were hard. That was the real lesson, the one that mattered more than any tactical maneuver or combat technique. Win the war, not just the battle. She smiled, touched the photograph she still carried in her pocket, the one of her father in his flight suit. I finished it, Dad, she whispered. Whatever you started, whatever you were trying to prove, I finished it. Not the way you would have, but my way. And I think that's what you really wanted all along, for me to find my own way, to be my own kind of legend. The photograph didn't answer, but she could feel it. That same defiant smile, that absolute certainty that his daughter would figure it out eventually. And she had. The party ended around midnight. Lena walked back to her quarters alone, her head buzzing from exhaustion more than alcohol. She'd barely touched the drinks people kept buying her. Every time she tried, she saw Volkov's face, heard his voice, felt the weight of the gun in her hand. Sleep didn't come. She lay in her bunk, staring at the ceiling, replaying every decision, every word, every moment she could have done differently. At 400, she gave up, got dressed, walked out to the flight line. Her Apache was still there, wrecked, smoking. Ground crews were already working on it, assessing the damage, deciding if it could be salvaged or if it was scrap. She's done, ma'am. Lena turned. Chief Warrant Officer Rodriguez, the senior maintenance officer, stood there with a clipboard. How bad? Tail rotor's destroyed. Main rotor took damage. Hydraulics are shot. Fuel system compromised. Avionics are fried. Rodriguez shook his head. Honestly, Major, I'm amazed you walked away from this. My father walked away from worse. Yeah, I heard about that. Bosnia, right, took 3 RPG hits and still made it back to base. 4 hits. And he didn't just make it back. He covered a medevac extraction first. Rodriguez smiled. Tran blood, I guess. You people don't know when to quit. Is that a compliment? The highest kind. He handed her the clipboard. We're shipping her back stateside. She'll probably end up in a museum somewhere. First Apache to score air-to-air kills. That's history. Lena looked at the broken aircraft. 14 kills. Her and the other pilots. 14 enemy jets destroyed by 3 helicopters. It should have felt like victory. But all she felt was tired. Chief, when you ship her back, can you do me a favor? Name it. Put this inside. She pulled out the photograph of her father. He should be part of this. Part of whatever comes next. Rodriguez took the photograph carefully. I'll make sure it's preserved properly, sealed in the cockpit. Future pilots can see it, know whose legacy they're carrying. Thank you. She walked away before the emotion could catch up, before she started crying in front of the maintenance crew. Marcus found her watching the sunrise from the operations tower. Couldn't sleep either, he asked. Didn't try. You know normal people would be celebrating. 14 kills. Volkov neutralized. Mission complete. I don't feel like celebrating. Because you let him live. Because I don't know if I made the right choice. Maybe I should have shot him. Maybe letting him walk away means someone else dies next time he... Stop. Marcus moved in front of her. You're second-guessing yourself because you're exhausted and traumatized, but you made the right call, the only call that kept you who you are. How do you know? Because I know you. Because I've flown with you for 3 years. Because if you'd killed him, you'd be standing here trying to justify murder instead of questioning mercy. And that's not who you are. She wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe she'd done the right thing. But doubt gnawed at her. What if Volkov killed someone else? What if her mercy today meant someone else's death tomorrow? Major Tran. A young airman stood in the doorway. Ma'am, there's a secure call for you. CIA. Lena followed him down to the communications room. Chen's face appeared on the screen. Major, how are you holding up? I'm fine. That's not what I asked. Lena sighed. I'm not sleeping. I'm second-guessing everything. I feel like I let my father down. By not killing Volkov, by letting him walk away alive. Chen leaned forward. Let me tell you something about your father. Something I never told you before. In 1998, in Bosnia, your father had a shot at Volkov. Clear. Easy. No witnesses. He could have killed him and blamed it on enemy fire. Lena's breath caught. What? He didn't take it. Called it in instead. Followed proper protocol. And Volkov lived. Continued his operations. Eventually killed your father 7 years later. Chen paused. So by your logic, your father made a mistake. He should have killed Volkov when he had the chance. That's different. Is it? Your father had the shot. He didn't take it. He chose duty over revenge, just like you did yesterday. The only difference is, he didn't live long enough to wonder if he made the right choice. Lena felt something shift inside her. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to understand that your father wasn't perfect. He made the same choice you made. And maybe it got him killed. Maybe if he'd shot Volkov in '98, he'd still be alive today. Or maybe he'd have spent the rest of his life as a murderer who broke the rules and betrayed everything he believed in. Chen's expression softened. There are no perfect choices in war, Lena. Only choices you can live with. Your father chose to live with duty. You made the same choice. Honor that instead of questioning it. Did he ever regret it? Not killing Volkov when he could? I don't know. He never said. But I know he slept at night. Can you? Lena thought about it. About the gun in her hand. About pulling the trigger. About becoming someone who executes prisoners. Yeah, she said quietly. I can sleep. Eventually. Then you made the right choice. Chen glanced at something off-screen. I've got news. Moscow just announced Volkov's retirement. Effective immediately. He's being reassigned to a training facility in Siberia. Middle of nowhere. No operational command. No access to combat units. He's done. That's it. No court-martial. No prison. Politics major. We can't prove he personally killed your father without classified intel we can't expose. But his career is over. His reputation destroyed. Every pilot who survived your engagements is talking. Volkov lost 13 aircraft to 3 helicopters. In Russian military culture, that kind of humiliation is worse than death. So he gets to retire in Siberia while my father is dead. Yes, that's the reality. But here's what else is reality. Because of what you did, Volkov's weapons smuggling network is shut down. His operations dismantled. His pilots scattered. You saved lives, Lena. American lives. Allied lives. Maybe even Russian lives by stopping his illegal operations. That counts for something. It did count. She knew it did. But it didn't make the grief go away. When do I leave for Fort Rucker? She asked. 2 weeks. That gives you time to write up your after-action reports, debrief everyone involved, and maybe get some actual rest. And then I teach. Then you build something that lasts. Apache Aggressor Squadron. First of its kind. You'll train pilots how to survive what you survived. How to fight the way you fought. Your father's legacy and yours combined into doctrine that will save lives for generations. After the call ended, Lena sat in the empty communications room. 2 weeks, 14 days to process everything. To figure out how to move forward. Marcus appeared in the doorway. You okay? Chen told me something. About my father. About a choice he made in Bosnia. What choice? He had a shot at Volkov, didn't take it, followed the rules instead. And maybe that's why he died. Maybe if he'd taken the shot, he'd still be alive. Marcus sat down next to her. Or maybe he'd be in Leavenworth for murder, or court-martialed, or maybe Volkov would have had friends who'd have hunted your father down anyway. You can't know. None of us can. But I let him walk away, just like my father did. And look how that turned out. Your father lived his whole life with honor intact. He died doing what he believed was right. Is that really such a terrible legacy? She thought about it. About her father's smile in that photograph. About the way people talked about him with respect, with admiration. Not as a murderer or a vigilante, but as a good man who did hard things the right way. No, she said finally. It's not. Then stop beating yourself up. You did what he would have done. You honored his memory by being who he raised you to be. That's enough. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur. Debriefings, after-action reports, meetings with intel officers and Pentagon officials who wanted to understand exactly how 3 helicopters had destroyed 13 jets. She told them everything. The tactics, the psychology, the way you turn a helicopter's weaknesses into strengths by changing the rules of engagement. It's not about being faster or more heavily armed, she explained to a room full of colonels and generals. It's about being smarter, about forcing the enemy to fight your fight instead of theirs. Jets are built for open sky. Long-range missiles, sun, high-speed intercepts. They're vulnerable in terrain at low altitude and close quarters, so you make them come to you. You make them commit where they're weak. And if they don't commit, a colonel asked, then you provoke them. Make them angry. Make it personal. Angry pilots make mistakes. Scared pilots run. Both scenarios work in our favor. A general in the back spoke up. You're talking about psychological warfare. I'm talking about understanding that every fight is two fights, the physical and the mental. Win the mental fight first, and the physical fight becomes easier. This is revolutionary, another general said. This changes everything we know about rotary combat. It's not revolutionary. It's just what my father taught me. Helicopters aren't support assets. They're not just for ground attack. They're predators. We just forgot that somewhere along the way. After the meetings, Torres found her. Major, got a minute? Always. How's your team? Good. Miller's already back stateside, probably boring his family with war stories. Torres smiled. Wanted to give you this before you left. He handed her something wrapped in cloth. She unwrapped it. A patch, custom made. A ghost hovering over an Apache with the words, Ghost Hawk Sky Predator. The team made it, Torres said. Figured you needed a proper call sign patch, the official kind. Lena's throat tightened. Thank you. No, ma'am. Thank you. For everything. On her last night in Syria, she returned to her wrecked Apache one final time. Ground crews had already stripped most of the salvageable parts. What remained was a skeleton, a ghost of the machine that had carried her through impossible fights. She climbed up to the cockpit, sat in the pilot's seat one last time. The instruments were dead, the controls unresponsive, but she could still feel it. The power, the connection, the absolute certainty that this machine and her were one thing, one weapon, one force. Rodriguez appeared below. Thought I'd find you here. Just saying goodbye. She served you well? She did. Better than I deserved. Nah, she got exactly the pilot she needed. Someone crazy enough to try the impossible. Rodriguez climbed up beside her. Sealed your father's photo like you asked. It's in a preservation case mounted to the main instrument panel. Future pilots at the museum will see it first thing when they look at this bird. Good. You know what they're going to call her, the museum. What? The legend killer. Because she killed the myth that helicopters can't fight jets. That's your legacy, Major, and your father's. This bird proves that limits are just lies we tell ourselves. Lena touched the controls one last time. Thanks for taking care of her, Chief. Honor was mine, ma'am. She climbed down, took one last look. The Apache sat there in the darkness, broken but undefeated. A monument to the impossible made possible. The flight back to the States was long. Lena slept most of it, the first real sleep she'd had in 2 weeks. When she woke, they were somewhere over the Atlantic, and Marcus was reading a magazine beside her. Sleep okay? He asked. Better than I expected. Good, you needed it. He set the magazine down. Been thinking about Fort Rucker, about this new squadron. And I want in, want to transfer with you, help build this thing. Marcus, you don't have to. I want to. We started this together. We should finish it together. He smiled. Besides, someone needs to keep you from killing yourself with crazy ideas. The crazy ideas are the whole point. Exactly. Which is why you need someone sane around. Balance. She smiled. The first genuine smile in weeks. Okay, yeah, let's do it together. You think we can actually pull this off? Build a whole new way of fighting. I think my father spent his whole life proving that the impossible is just hard, not impossible. And I think if he could do it in his era, with his technology, we can do it now with ours. Better, smarter, safer. Safer. You just killed 13 jets while nearly dying multiple times. That's why we make it safer. So the next generation doesn't have to take the same risks. so they learn from my mistakes instead of making their own. Marcus nodded slowly. Your father would be proud, not just of what you did, but of why you're doing what comes next. I hope so. I know so. They landed at Dover Air Force Base at dawn. American soil. Home. It felt strange. Unreal. Like the last month had happened to someone else. Chen was waiting at the debriefing facility. Welcome home, Major. Thank you. Quick update before you head to Rucker. Volkov's been officially transferred, confirmed in Siberia, training new pilots at a facility so remote it doesn't have a proper name. His operational days are over. Does he know I made it back? Probably. We've been monitoring his communications. He hasn't mentioned you specifically, but there's been chatter about the American helicopter pilot and Victor's legacy. I think you're living rent-free in his head. Good. Chen almost smiled. One more thing. Your mother's been calling, every day, wants to see you. Lena's chest tightened. Her mother, who'd lost a husband to this life and almost lost a daughter, too. I'll call her. Do it today. She's worried sick. That afternoon, Lena stood outside her childhood home in Virginia. She hadn't been here in 3 years. It looked the same, small, neat, the garden her mother maintained with obsessive care. She knocked, waited. The door opened. Her mother stood there, older than Lena remembered, grayer, but those same sharp eyes that missed nothing. Lena. Hi, Mom. Her mother didn't say anything, just pulled her into a hug so tight Lena could barely breathe. You're alive, her mother whispered. Thank God you're alive. I'm sorry I couldn't call. It was classified. Everything was classified. Her mother pulled back. I know. Chen called. Told me some of what happened. Not everything. Just enough to terrify me. She studied Lena's face. You look like him. Right now. Same expression he used to get when he came back from deployment. That 1,000-yard stare. I'm okay, Mom. No, you're not. But you will be. Come inside. I made coffee. They sat in the kitchen. The same kitchen where Lena had grown up, where her father used to sit at this exact table, telling stories about flying, about combat, about the impossible things he'd done. Chen told me about Volkov, her mother said quietly. That you found him, that you had a choice. Did she tell you I let him live? She did. Her mother sipped her coffee. Your father would have done the same thing. He did do the same thing. In Bosnia, had the shot. Didn't take it. Her mother nodded. I know. He told me. Kept him up at night for weeks wondering if he'd made a mistake. If letting Volkov live meant someone else would die. Did someone else die? Eventually. Your father. 7 years later. So maybe Victor made the wrong choice. Maybe he should have killed Volkov when he could. Her mother set her cup down. Or maybe he made the only choice he could live with. The choice that let him look at himself in the mirror. The choice that let him be the kind of man his daughter could be proud of. Lena's eyes burned. I miss him, Mom. Every day. And I keep thinking if I'd been there, if I'd been with him, then you'd both be dead, and I'd have lost everything instead of just half. Her mother reached across the table, grabbed Lena's hand. Your father died, doing what he loved, protecting people who needed protecting. That's who he was. And from what Chen tells me, that's who you are too. You're so much like him, it scares me. But it also makes me proud, because you took his legacy, and you made it your own. You proved his theories, validated his beliefs, showed the world that Victor Tran wasn't crazy, he was just ahead of his time. I'm not done yet, Mom. I'm building a squadron, training other pilots, turning what I did into something permanent. I know. Chen told me. Apache Aggressor Squadron. Her mother smiled. Your father would love that. He always said the military was too rigid, too stuck in doctrine, that innovation comes from people willing to break rules and prove new possibilities. He was right. He usually was, annoying habit of his. They both laughed, the first real laugh Lena had managed in weeks. "Stay tonight," her mother said. "Your room is exactly like you left it. Tomorrow you can head to Alabama. But tonight, stay. Let me cook dinner. Let me pretend my daughter isn't about to run off and do more insane things in helicopters." "Okay, Mom. Yeah, I'll stay." That night, Lena lay in her childhood bed staring at the ceiling. The same ceiling she'd stared at as a kid, dreaming about flying, about following in her father's footsteps, about proving she could do everything he did. She'd done that now. Exceeded it even. 14 kills. Enemy operations dismantled. Volkov neutralized. But it didn't feel like she'd imagined. There was no triumphant moment, no credits rolling, just exhaustion and grief and the knowledge that tomorrow she'd wake up and keep going, keep building, keep teaching, keep proving that limits were just lies. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Rucker is ready when you are. Let's build something amazing." She smiled. Texted back, "See you in 2 days. Time to change the world." Another text came through. Unknown number. She almost deleted it, but curiosity got the better of her. She opened it. "Well played, Major Tran. Your father taught you well. Perhaps we will meet again someday. Under different circumstances. Until then, fly well. V. Volkov." One last message, one last reminder that this wasn't over. Not really. But Lena didn't feel fear, didn't feel anger. She felt ready, because whatever came next, whoever challenged her, whatever impossible situation she faced, she knew something now that she hadn't known before. She knew she was Victor Tran's daughter, not just in blood, but in spirit, in skill, in the absolute refusal to accept limits. And that was enough. That was everything. She deleted the message, put the phone away. And for the first time in weeks, she slept without dreaming of explosions or choices or guns in her hand. She just slept, peacefully, knowing that tomorrow she'd wake up and continue her father's work. And that was the real victory, not killing Volkov, not revenge, not justice, but becoming who her father had raised her to be, and using that to build something that would outlast them both. 2 days later, Lena drove through the gates of Fort Rucker, Alabama. The sign read, "Home of Army Aviation," and she felt something shift in her chest. This was where her father had trained, where he'd learned to fly, where his legend had started. Now it was where hers would continue. Marcus was already there waiting at the headquarters building. "Welcome to Rucker, Major. Feels strange being back in the States. Give it time. You'll adjust." He handed her a folder. "Your orders. You report to Colonel Briggs at 0800 tomorrow. He's the one who approved the aggressor squadron concept. Apparently you impressed some very important people. Or scared them. Same thing in the military." That night, Lena walked the flight line. Rows of Apaches sat ready, their rotors still. Waiting. She thought about the 14 kills, about Volkov, about the choice she'd made. A voice called out from behind her. "Major Tran." She turned. A young warrant officer stood there, maybe 25, nervous. "Yes. I'm CW2 Jackson, ma'am. I heard you're starting the aggressor squadron. I want in." "Why?" "Because what you did in Syria that changes everything. I want to learn how to do that, how to fight like that. It's not about fighting like me. It's about thinking differently, about refusing to accept what everyone says is impossible." "Then teach me that. Please." Lena studied him. Young, eager, reminded her of herself 10 years ago. Show up tomorrow at 0600, flight line. We'll see if you're serious. I'll be there, ma'am. Thank you. He walked away quickly, like he was afraid she'd change her mind. Marcus appeared beside her. First recruit. Apparently. How many do you think we'll get? I don't know. However many are willing to unlearn everything they've been taught and start over. That's a lot to ask. My father asked it of me. Now I'm asking it of them. The next morning at 0600, she expected maybe Jackson to show up. Maybe one or two others. 30 pilots were waiting on the flight line. Jesus, Marcus breathed. Lena walked to the front of the group. They stood at attention, young faces full of determination. I'm Major Tran. If you're here, you already know what happened in Syria. 14 enemy aircraft destroyed by 3 helicopters. You want to know how we did it? Nods. Murmurs of agreement. Here's the truth, it wasn't about being better pilots. Most of you probably fly better than I do technically. It was about being willing to question everything. About looking at doctrine and asking why. About understanding that the only real limits are the ones we accept. She paused. Let that sink in. My father spent his whole career proving that helicopters could do things everyone said were impossible. He died before he could finish that work. I'm finishing it now. But I can't do it alone. I need pilots who are willing to think differently. Who are willing to fail. Who are willing to look stupid trying something new because maybe, just maybe, it'll save someone's life someday. Jackson raised his hand. Ma'am, what if we can't do it? What if we're not good enough? Then you learn. You adapt. You get better. My father used to say there are 2 types of pilots, the ones who give up when things get hard and the ones who get creative. We're building a squadron of creative pilots, the kind who see a problem and think, how do I solve this, instead of, this can't be solved. Another pilot spoke up. Is it true you laughed before killing the first MiG? Yes. Why? Because I knew something he didn't, that I wasn't prey. That he'd made a mistake thinking this would be easy. And I wanted him to know I knew. Psychological warfare is half the fight. Make your enemy doubt themselves and the physical fight becomes easier. She looked at the group. 30 faces. 30 pilots who could become something more. Here's how this works. For the next 6 months, you're mine. You train here. You eat here. You sleep here. You live and breathe Apache aggressor tactics. Some of you will wash out. That's okay. This isn't for everyone. But the ones who make it through, you'll be the first. The pioneers. The ones who prove that what I did in Syria wasn't luck. It was a new way of fighting. And you'll take that knowledge and spread it. Teach it. Save lives with it. She paused. Anyone want to leave now? No judgment. This is your last chance. Nobody moved. All right then, let's get to work. The first month was brutal. She pushed them harder than they'd ever been pushed, made them fly low, made them fly in terrain that scared them, made them understand that the Apache wasn't just a weapons platform. It was an extension of their will. You don't fly the helicopter, she told them during one training session. You become the helicopter. You feel it. You know what it can do before it does it. That's not instinct. That's hours and hours of practice until the machine and you are one thing. Jackson was struggling with a terrain masking exercise. He kept pulling up too early, breaking cover before he needed to. You're scared, Lena said over the radio. Yes, ma'am. Good. Fear means you're paying attention. But don't let it control you. Use it. Let it sharpen your senses. Then make the decision anyway. What if I crash? Then you crash. But you probably won't. Trust yourself. Trust the machine. Now do it again. Jackson tried again. This time he held the hover longer, popped up at the right moment, executed the maneuver perfectly. "Better," Lena said. "Again, keep doing it until it's automatic." By month 2, they were starting to think differently, starting to question doctrine, starting to see possibilities instead of limitations. "Ma'am," one pilot asked during a tactics briefing, "why don't we use terrain like this in our standard operations?" "Because it's dangerous. Because it requires perfect execution. Because one mistake means you die. But if we practice enough, then it becomes second nature. Then the danger decreases. That's the point. We train hard, so combat is easy." Month 3. They started running simulations. Apache versus fighter jets. The jets were played by aggressor pilots in F-16s who thought this would be easy. It wasn't. The first simulation, Jackson's team downed 2 F-16s before the third figured out what was happening and retreated. The F-16 pilot landed and climbed out of his aircraft, shaking his head. "What the hell was that?" "You're helicopters. You're not supposed to be able to do that." "That's exactly what the enemy thinks," Lena said. "That's why it works." Word spread. Other units wanted to train against the aggressor squadron, wanted to see if this was real or just hype. Lena welcomed them all. "Bring your best pilots," she told a Marine colonel who requested training. "Bring your most experienced crews. Then watch what happens when they face pilots who don't fight the way they expect." The Marines came with 4 Cobras and absolute confidence. They left with 0 kills and a lot of questions. "How?" the Marine commander asked afterward. "How did you do that? We didn't do anything special. We just refused to fight the way you expected. You came in with doctrine. We came in with adaptation. Teach us." That's why we're here. By month 6, the aggressor squadron had grown to 50 pilots, all trained, all certified, all capable of doing things that 6 months ago would have been considered impossible. Colonel Briggs came to observe their final certification exercise, 5 Apaches versus 10 F-16s in a simulated air battle. The Apaches won. 7 kills to 3 losses. Afterward, Briggs pulled Lena aside. "That was remarkable. That was teamwork, sir. Every pilot out there applied the principles. They didn't just learn techniques, they learned how to think. The Pentagon wants you to brief them. They want to see if this can be scaled up, applied across all rotary aviation." "It can, sir, but it requires changing how we think about helicopters. They're not just support assets. They're not just ground attack platforms. They're predators. We just have to train them like predators." "When can you brief them?" "Whenever they're ready, sir." 2 weeks later, Lena stood in the Pentagon briefing room. Generals, admirals, defense officials, all there to hear about the Apache aggressor concept. She was nervous. Not about the presentation, she knew her material, but about what it represented. This was her father's legacy, his theories, his beliefs. And she was asking the entire military to accept them. "Gentlemen," she began. 6 months ago in Syria, 3 Apache helicopters destroyed 14 enemy fighter aircraft over 3 days. You've all read the reports. You know the tactics. But what you might not know is why it worked. She clicked to the next slide, a photograph of her father standing next to his Kiowa. "This is my father, Colonel Victor Tran. Some of you knew him. He spent his entire career arguing that rotary aviation was being misused, that we were thinking about helicopters wrong, that with proper training and tactics, helicopters could compete with fixed-wing aircraft in air-to-air combat." Murmurs around the room, some people nodding, others skeptical. "He died before he could prove his theories. so I proved them for him. But proof isn't enough. What we need now is implementation. We need to train every Apache pilot to think this way, to fight this way, to refuse limitations. A general in the back spoke up. Major, what you did was extraordinary, but it required perfect execution. One mistake, and you'd have died. Can we really train every pilot to that level? Yes, sir. Because it's not about being perfect. It's about being adaptable, about thinking creatively under pressure. Those are teachable skills. And if they fail, if pilots die trying to replicate what you did. Lena met his eyes. Sir, pilots die every day flying conventional missions. At least this way they die pushing boundaries instead of accepting them. And more importantly, the pilots we train this way are less likely to die because they'll have more tools, more options, more ways to survive when everything goes wrong. Another general leaned forward. You're asking us to fundamentally change rotary aviation doctrine. Yes, sir, I am. That's a big ask. It's a necessary ask, because our enemies are adapting. They're getting better aircraft, better weapons, better training. If we don't adapt too, we fall behind. My father understood that. That's why he kept pushing, kept innovating, kept refusing to accept the status quo. She clicked to the next slide. Statistics, kill ratios, survival rates. These are the numbers from the last 6 months of aggressor squadron training. 50 pilots, 0 fatalities, 700 simulated engagements, 68% success rate against fixed-wing opposition. And this is just the beginning. As these pilots get more experience, those numbers will improve. A Navy admiral spoke up. What about other rotary platforms? Can this be applied to Marine Cobras, Navy helicopters? Absolutely. The principles are the same. The tactics adjust based on platform capabilities, but the core concept that helicopters are predators, not prey, that applies universally. The questions continued for 2 hours. Lena answered everyone, defended every point, proved every claim. Finally, the senior general in the room stood. Major Tran, you've made a compelling case. The Joint Chiefs will review this proposal. But I'll be honest, you've already convinced me. What you're describing isn't just an improvement. It's a revolution, and revolutions are necessary sometimes. Thank you, sir. One more question. What would your father think of all this? Lena smiled. He'd probably say it took me long enough to figure out what he'd been trying to teach me my whole life. Laughter around the room. The tension broke. Dismissed, Major. We'll be in touch. Lena walked out of the Pentagon into the Virginia sunshine. Marcus was waiting. How'd it go? I think we did it. I think they're actually going to approve it. Your dad would be proud. Yeah, he would. They walked to the car. Lena's phone buzzed. A message from Chen. Thought you'd want to know. Volkov died yesterday. Heart attack, Siberia. He was 62. Lena stared at the message. Felt nothing. No satisfaction. No grief. Just an acknowledgement that a chapter had closed. She texted back, "Thanks for letting me know." You okay? Marcus asked. Yeah, I'm good. It's over. Really over. And now we build, we teach. We create something that outlasts all of us. 6 months later, the Apache Aggressor Squadron was officially expanded. 10 squadrons across the country. 500 pilots trained in the new tactics. The doctrine was being written into field manuals, being taught at flight school, becoming standard. Lena stood on the flight line at Rucker, watching the new class of pilots practice terrain masking. They were good, getting better every day. Jackson landed nearby, climbed out of his Apache, grinning. Ma'am, I just passed my instructor certification. They're assigning me to the 2nd Squadron. I'm going to teach this stuff to new pilots. Good. That's the goal. Pass it on. Make it better than I taught you." "I'll try, ma'am. Though honestly, you set the bar pretty high. 14 kills is tough to beat." "Don't try to beat it. Try to make sure future pilots don't have to get 14 kills to prove the concept works. Try to make this so normal that nobody thinks it's special anymore. That's the dream, right? That this becomes standard. That your father's crazy ideas just become regular ideas." "Exactly." A car pulled up. Chen got out, walked over. "Major Tran, got a minute?" "Always." They walked away from the flight line. Chen handed her a folder. "What's this?" "Your father's classified files. Everything he discovered in Bosnia. Everything he was trying to expose when Volkov killed him." Lena opened the folder. Documents, photographs, proof of weapons smuggling, political corruption, everything. "Why are you giving me this now?" "Because it's declassified now. Volkov's dead. The operations are shut down. There's no reason to keep it secret anymore. And I thought you deserved to know what your father died for, to know it mattered." Lena read through the documents, her father's handwriting in the margins, notes, observations, proof that he'd been right, that his death hadn't been random or meaningless. "He was trying to stop a war," she said quietly. "These weapons, they were going to extremist groups, groups that would have destabilized the entire region." "Yes, and by exposing it even though it cost him his life, he prevented that, saved thousands of lives, maybe more." "Did he know before he died? Did he know it mattered?" "I think so. I think that's why he didn't run. Why he kept flying even when he knew Volkov was coming for him. Because some things are worth dying for." Lena closed the folder, looked up at the sky. "I used to think he was reckless, that he took unnecessary risks. But he wasn't reckless. He was just willing to pay the price for doing what was right. Like father, like daughter." "No, not quite." Lena smiled. "I'm willing to pay the price. But I'm also smart enough to make sure the price isn't as high. That's the difference. Dad pushed boundaries at any cost. I push boundaries while minimizing cost. That's his legacy, and mine combined." Chen nodded. "The next generation will push even further. Because you taught them how. Because you proved it's possible. That's how progress works. Each generation stands on the shoulders of the last." "I hope you're right." "I know I am. Your father changed how one pilot thought. You changed how 500 pilots think. Your students will change how 5,000 think. That's legacy major. That's how we win. Not by being the best, but by teaching others to be better than we ever were." After Chen left, Lena walked back to the flight line. Marcus was there working on an Apache with Jackson and a few other pilots. They were laughing, joking, but also learning, growing, becoming better. This was it. This was what mattered. Not the kills, not the revenge, not even justice. Just this. Teaching, building, creating something that would save lives long after she was gone. Her phone buzzed one more time. A message from her mother. "Saw the news. Pentagon approved full implementation. Your father would be so proud. I know I am. Love you, sweetheart." Lena typed back, "Love you too, Mom. Wish Dad could see this." Another message immediately. "He does, every day. Through you." She put the phone away, looked up at the clear Alabama sky. Somewhere up there her father was flying. Still pushing boundaries, still refusing limits, still proving that the impossible was just another word for challenging. And down here his daughter was doing the same, teaching others, spreading his message, turning his theories into doctrine that would protect pilots for generations. Jackson called out, "Ma'am, we're doing a training flight. Want to come up? Show us that terrain trick one more time." Lena smiled, walked toward her Apache, her bird, her predator, Yeah, she said. Let's fly. Because that was the real answer to everything. To grief, to loss, to doubt, to fear. You just keep flying, keep pushing, keep refusing to accept the limits others try to impose. You laugh in the face of impossible odds. You fight when everyone says you should run. You teach when others say it can't be taught. You become the legend your father believed you could be. Not by dying for something, but by living for it. By building something that lasts. By proving that limits are just lies we tell ourselves until someone brave enough comes along to expose them. Lena climbed into her Apache, started the engines, felt the familiar vibration as the rotors spun up. Marcus's voice came through the headset. Ready when you are. Ghost Hawk. She smiled, pushed the cyclic forward, lifted off into the Alabama sky. Then let's go show them how predators hunt. And they did. Together. The way her father had always taught her. The way she was now teaching others. The way pilots would keep learning for generations to come. Because legends don't die when the person dies. They live on in every life they touched, every lesson they taught. Every pilot who refused to accept limits because someone before them proved those limits were lies. Victor Tran's legacy didn't end in Syria with a bullet and a burning helicopter. It lived on in his daughter. In her students. In every Apache pilot who looked at impossible odds and laughed before proving the impossible was just another day's work. That was the real victory, not revenge, not justice, but immortality through teaching, through building something bigger than yourself, through refusing to let death be the end of the story when it could just be the beginning of a legend that would never die.